Coming up in the news, an update on power and water challenges in East Grand Bahama. The Bahamas Mortgage Corporation coming under fire once again. And Santa's Wonderland officially opened on Grand Bahama. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all, I'm Shashina Roe-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping the news this evening, as the holiday season approaches, the residents of East Grand Bahama are still hoping for some sort of normalcy. Among the many post-Dorian challenges is the absence of electricity. While a team of government officials conducting a tour of the East End communities this week with power executives to come up with some sort of short-term plan to deliver some comfort to that storm-ravaged district. Natalia Hall has more. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says the government was not satisfied with the progress being made by the Grand Bahama Power Company as it relates to the restoration of electricity in East Grand Bahama. As a result, he, along with the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, toured the areas of concern in East Grand Bahama with the power company.
Many residents who have gone back, there are residents who are in the process of rebuilding. And one of the important things that they need to have is to have power there. So what we did was we called the power company. We impressed upon them how important it was for us to move forward with the plans to put the power back into that area and to rebuild that infrastructure. And so what we did was we told them we wanted to have an on-the-ground visit with them. And the ministers, along with the power company, went from settlement to settlement and to do an on-the-ground assessment.
That assessment revealed where persons are at with their repairs and who all are eligible for temporary power.
The areas that are just over the bridge, actually they have electrified some parts of that area already. And so it's important for residents to know that they can apply for at least a temporary power to be able to, have power for some of their needs, even if it is not the full power to their houses. So we spoke to the power company about that. We wanted them to also inform the public so that they know which streets, and that will be coming shortly.
Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquest, says overall, he believes that the tour was productive.
The longer-term problem, it is complex because it is significant in terms of the number of power poles that are down that are required for the main transmission lines into the east. So we recognize that may take a little bit longer. But if we can do some microgrids, if we can do some individual standalone solar solutions, if we can do some generation, particularly in clusters where we have a small number of homes, if we can do some generation there so that people can have at least some parts of the day some power, so they can have refrigeration and then they can cook and whatever, then that will at least help through this difficult transition period.
The Deputy Prime Minister says the long-term objective for the country is to have 30% of electricity coming from renewable energy, and this is a good opportunity for the government to move forward with that goal. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News. Thanks, Natalia. Well, in other news, the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation of the Bahamas coming under fire yet again. This time, residents are making an appeal to the government to take a look at this financial body for what they are calling inefficiency and a slowed payment process. Tonight, these residents say that they have had enough. The complaints pouring in regarding a frustrating process as it relates to insurance payouts from the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. For Mellon Grant, a Wellington Pender Heights resident, she says she was informed by the insurance adjuster that her check was released to BMC from mid-September, and she's still being given the runaround. Grant adds that she was told that before she collects the first dime, she had to complete the first stage, which included gutting her entire home and repairing the roof. While she has completed the interior work using her personal funds, she says she doesn't know where she will find the funds to complete the repairs to the roof.
The monies are sitting in Nassau. What our money is doing sitting in Nassau, we pay our mortgage. I don't owe government anything. I have 4 kids. My oldest child is 8 years old. My baby is 1 year old. The kids keep getting sick because the draft is coming in on the house. Every time you come, it's a story. It's a turnaround. The hold up now is that the mortgage corp itself is saying that the shingles need to be on the roof.
Is this before you get your first stage check?
Before you get your first stage check.
Do you have the money to pay for your roof and the shingles to be placed on your roof?
I don't have no money. I don't have no money. And the contractor I got, he is a licensed contractor, but he lose his home, completely lose in East End. So he got to grasp back up his life. You all ain't even trying to release one check to him. It's sad.
For Sonia Roll, a grandmother and resident of the Heritage Subdivision, the situation is no different. She says she too has completed the first stage without receiving a check from BMC, even though the insurance company released her check from October. But her first stage also includes roof damage, and while she has done everything required by BMC with the exception of roof repairs, she says the mortgage corporation continues to delay the first payout and continues to schedule assessments.
Why I have to take monies out of my pocket to fix my house when I pay an insurance? Why? Why you putting people through this? And not only that, Christmas is right around the corner. Every place is going to be closed. That means I can get straight and tell for the new year. Nassau office, y'all did not experience Dorian. You did not experience Dorian. Show compassion to the people in Grand Bahama, because right now people are damaged.
Sonia says she has done mold remediation twice so far, and if she doesn't purchase the material for her roof, she fears that she may have to do it again. She says on September 2nd, she had to fight through Dorian, but never imagined having to deal with this in the aftermath.
And even today, I still going through Dorian because I don't have my house in order. My children sleeping on air beds. The ground is all ripped. The windows. No kitchen. Y'all don't know what this is. What it's doing to me.
Deidre Francis has finally received her mobilization funds, but says now that she is in her second phase, she is ready for inspection. However, was told that the person responsible was on vacation.
So when that one person is out of office, that means the whole organization stop? Why? That is silly. This process is so frustrating, and only those who feels it knows it.
These Bahamians say something must be done as Christmas is approaching and they cannot go into the new year with homes that are not secure.
Because in a time like this, when everybody's supposed to be working together, nobody seems to have answers in this place. Every time you go there, they turning you away. Bad news. And I still have to go to my family with that.
Well, we spoke with Managing Director of the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, Phil Haven, who says there is a disbursement process to which all customers must adhere to. He says if the customer is having any issues with the construction phase, they should visit the office where mobilization to the contractor can be made available upon the agreement of the customer and the contractor. Now, he also notes that other policies and procedures are also in place to assist customers on a one-on-one basis depending on the customer's needs. Tomorrow night, the Deputy Prime Minister and MP for East Grand Bahama will give his take on the situation. Switching gears now, Bahamasair going back into the lucrative Florida market. The first flight since Hurricane Dorian took place yesterday, and as Italiol tells us, passengers in Bahamasair's officials are all elated to have this service back on track.
It was an exciting day for the entire Bahamasair team as passengers checked in one by one for the 9:30 a.m. flight to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Senior Director of Operations Betty Benoit and Deputy Chairman Rudy Meadows view it as a big step not only for Bahamasair, but Grand Bahama as well.
It is with pleasure that we reintroduce our scheduled flight to Fort Lauderdale. We recognize that It is a great way to stimulate the economy of Grand Bahama.
We were somewhat isolated from the world, and we got the flights going into Nassau, and now we're going back in the United States. It may not be quite the way we wanted with pre-clearance and all that, but it's a step forward.
These passengers say the return of the service 3 months after the storm is certainly a relief.
As an hotelier, I could tell you that this is very timely for Grand Bahama. It is a must. The island cannot begin to even think about moving forward without an international airport.
I'm excited because it means that we have some sort of normalcy now with flights coming in. A lot of places in the boats now are overloaded. So now another outlet of traveling to the U.S. I think it's essential right now to show that the economy is starting now to rebound. So I'm excited to know that it is now.
I'm very grateful, very happy that we are finally getting flights into Freeport. This is to help the economy, and the people will be very excited as well that it's no longer have to go into Nassau to get into the U.S., so it's very exciting.
35 passengers boarded the flight, including Bahamasair and government officials, as well as members of the media. In less than 30 minutes, the Bahamasair aircraft touched down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Up to Fort Lauderdale. I think that deserves a round of applause. We have certainly worked hard at trying to resume this flight direct from Freeport to Fort Lauderdale, and with the hard-working team at Bahamasair and the executive management, the board members, we were able to make this happen.
Once the group deplaned and cleared U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they were greeted by the mayor of Broward County, Dale Holness.
We're very delighted that we start flights again to continue the connection between the people of South Florida and the Bahamas. We were saddened on the event of that terrible hurricane that hit the country, and we were very responsive, I must say. I'm very proud of what we did here in Broward County and in South Florida to reach out to, in my mind, one of our most valued neighbors in the world, the Bahamas. The relationship with the Bahamas and South Florida is long-standing, hundreds of years.
Now officials at Bahamasair say flights will increase to and from Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the near future. Reporting from the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport for ZNS Network News, I'm Italia Hall.
Well, the Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Reconstruction and Recovery, the Honorable Hiram Lewis, was also part of that delegation on the Bahamasair flight. He says he's pleased that the national flag carrier was the first airline out of the gate to travel to Florida.
It speaks to the world that we are not just lying down, we are indeed trying to help ourselves and to ask them to continue to bring us the much needed assistance. Even though we are here today, our airport is open. We want to signal to the world that we are open for business, but we still need help. We're not at a point where they can say, well, you're up and running now, so we can walk away. And it's good that the mayor is here, who represents almost 2 million of our neighbors. The word is going to get out that we are open, and we hope that the tourism product continues to grow.
Now, once the flight returned to Grand Bahama, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, was waiting outside of the Grand Bahama International Airport to greet passengers. He says the return of the Fort Lauderdale flight is a big move for the island's economy.
It really means is getting back to normal for our residents, because the Bahamasair flight is usually that flight that accommodates our residents and moving forward, back and forward to Florida. And so today really is a positive step for residents. It's a positive step for Bahamian citizens in Freeport, who now have a regular flight going back and forward to Fort Lauderdale since the storm. Again, what it means is it's another step forward, another step in terms of progressing, another step about getting back to where we were pre-Dorian.
And now to news from the court. 51-year-old Michael David Russell of Bank Lane, West End, was arraigned before Magistrate Gwendolyn Claude in the 8 Mile Rock Court this week on the charge of arson. Russell pled guilty and was ordered to compensate the complainant $3,000. If he doesn't provide compensation, he would be sentenced to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services when he returns to court on February 27th of next year. Russell is accused of setting the home of Lisel Davis on fire in West End last Wednesday. Meantime, 38-year-old Albert Charles Green, a.k.a. Terrence Bodie, of Tamarind Street and Oleander Street, Freeport, appearing before Magistrate Reagan Johnson on murder charges today. Green is accused of the shooting death of Walter Delaney, a.k.a. War. He was gunned down while riding his bicycle last week. Green was not required to enter a plea. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until trial, and that's in April of next year. Stay with us. There's more news right after the break.